Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to an away day guide. I am the Gov, and I am with Tractor Girl Amy, the away day guru. Some have started to call you Amy, and I think that's a name that suits you very well, really. The away day guru. Now, obviously, this is the away day guide end of season. I know you've got lots planned. You're not going to have me for the show. I'm going to rest my voice for tomorrow's special. I wanted to just remind people that we are interviewing or sitting down for a chat with Mark Ashton tomorrow morning. We are welcoming your questions. If you are a YouTube member or a Ko-Fi member, we will definitely try, time permitting, because obviously I may get a run on questions, try and get your questions to the big man. You can send them to me at homedressingroom89@gmail.com, or you can send them via Twitter DM to the TT account. If you're not a Ko-Fi member or a YouTube member, you can become one. Alternatively, if you can't, for whatever reason, I know things are difficult at the moment in the big wide world, just send your question to the email account, and if we have got time for more questions, I will do my best to put them to him. Mr. Ashton tomorrow, Amy.
Very exciting. You gave me goosebumps when you tweeted about that. Amazing.
There you go. Absolutely. But I say one thing that won't give you goosebumps, and that is our away form last year, because I was looking it up earlier. 23 games, obviously, a win percentage of 30%, scoring 29 goals and conceding 24. It wasn't that merry for our away day Warriors, was it?
Certainly not, and definitely not for those of us who are following the boys up north. I think we missed out on some of the fun results, like your Portsmouth away and Gillingham away, unfortunately, and had to suffer Accrington away again and Bolton away 2-0, and just not much fun at all. Morecambe, Crewe, drawing away at them when we really should have been walking it. Even the one victory that I did see last year, which was at Doncaster, was absolutely diabolical.
There you go.
So it has been very frustrating being a Northern Blue this year, for definite.
And they just auditioned for the perfect role of Town TV, Mark Ashton. If you're watching this tonight, Amy Downs wants to be your head of advertising, because she's just sold
what an away to sell your away tickets.
Yeah, just sold your away season ticket packages. Got Nick, Emerson, Colin, Kevin, loads of people in the chat. Gino, welcome in. Big Bad G, Emerson, Fairweather. The chat is really busy, which is really good, because tonight, Amy, before I bring in one of our most furthest town fans that we've got on the platform northwise, and along with our true away day warrior who is there rain or shine, providing he can clock off in time. That rhymes quite well. It is, of course, the Cruncher. Before I disappear and them to arrive, what sort of things are you going to be posing that you want the chat to be involved with as well tonight?
Oh, well, a bit later on. So I have spent the afternoon, when I should have been working, with a big, massive spreadsheet figuring out which players have travelled the furthest this year. So I'd love to hear who could guess who's racked up the most miles. And that includes those who've travelled and haven't played. So I've counted up from the squad that have travelled, basically. Nice. So, yeah, I've worked that out. I was a little surprised, but not really. I think that the top players possibly been one of our most consistent, but very interesting. Some of the next ones down, the sort of top 5 are quite intriguing. So we'll have a chat about that. We've just hinted a little bit about, I'd love to talk about our away form, and whether we are struggling away, especially when we're having to travel, because we haven't had very good results when we've had our furthest journeys. So we'll take a look at what our furthest journeys were and how we did there. And really, I just wanted to chat to Rich and my mind's gone blank, Rich and Ryan, about what their experiences were, what their favourites were, what they're looking forward to next year, if that sounds all right.
Sounds absolutely brilliant. So your best away match, your best away goal, your best away ground, your best away boozer. You know the drill, guys and girls in the chat. This is your away day guide. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Ryan first of all before I disappear. Ryan, you are our most furthest town fan. Tell the people at home just how far you are away.
I'm currently sat in my living room up in Inverness in the Highlands.
Inverness in the Highlands. Now, of course, Ryan, I can't imagine you've got a season ticket for next year, right?
I've got an airport.
Well, tell the guys and girls at home what you told us before we went live, because it is just a sign of a true ITFC fan and warrior. I love it.
Okay, so in short, we have 2 season tickets in the family. My brother-in-law's kind of said it's not going to be on for me next year. He currently lives in Guernsey, so I kindly said, well, I can get there pretty quickly-ish. I can get a flight to London and a train from London to Ipswich. So instead of losing the ticket, I've said, well, I'll take it on. So
look at that. So you've taken on a season ticket despite being more or less in the Highlands. We absolutely love that, Ryan. And we're pleased to have you with us this evening. Joining us also is a man that goes up, down, east, west, rain or shine, Cruncher, the away day king. Oh, and he's wearing the away day merchandise. Absolutely love it. But you drive to away day, so you don't really get to sample the away day delights on a train, do you?
No, I like driving.
You do, you do. You must do, because you go east, west.
Look, anyway, everybody, look how busy I've been. 1 page, 2 page, 3 pages of questions for tomorrow's interview with Mark Ashton.
Wow.
What he doesn't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that if he's got 3 pages, there's someone going to have to write that up into a Word document.
Well,
and what he doesn't then tell you is it's going to be me.
That's where Mark comes in, Amy.
So that's really what I'm doing tonight. That's really when I'm listening to you 3 wonderful people, I'll be typing up all of those questions. But get them in, homedressing809@gmail.com, because we are sitting down with Mark Ashton. But tonight, Amy, Rich, Ryan, enjoy. I'm going to enjoy listening to this, the Away Day Guide, end of season special.
Bless him. Now we can run the show properly. So I just want to say a quick hello to Colin, who's just said hello. We had a lovely chat at Crewe for the final game of the season, so I was very, very excited to have a proper chat with him and meet him properly. But boys, how did you find your away days this year? Crunch, how many did you make it to in the end?
18. Should have been 19, but I had COVID and I couldn't go to Shrewsbury, so I've already been there, so it wasn't really that much of a hardship, Amy. But yeah, 18 away games, 8 wins, 5 draws, 5 defeats. That does include 2 cup games, because I went to Oldham and then I went to Barrow. Did you go to Barrow, Ryan?
Unfortunately, I'd like to have done just to tick off another ground, but I didn't make it down.
Then you didn't go.
Oh, it's one of those. I'm trying to tick them off, Crunch, same as yourself.
Yeah.
But I think that there were some great away games. Looking back, I think definitely, if you look at the likes of the performances at, say, Wycombe, Gillingham, that we did at times perform really well on the road. I just think the consistency maybe wasn't quite there. Too many draws.
Which, to be fair, it's been about the same at home, hasn't it? We've been a bit inconsistent, to put it nicely, really. So I think that's probably fair. And I'm glad you mentioned Wycombe, because I was just saying to Martin before we came on live, the fact that we did the double over them and they've just made it through to the final is just, it's a sign of how ridiculous this league is, and maybe of what quality we can show. Do you think, Rich?
Yeah, I agree. Like Ryan was saying, there was Wycombe, there was Portsmouth away, there was Gillingham, but we know we can do that, Amy. We've got it in us, but it's like our previous manager, Mr. Cook, used to say, our consistency is our inconsistency. And that was over the season, really, when you look at it. And I watched the Wycombe game last night, and they didn't play very well, but they get the job done, and they're there on merit. And this is why I said to Martin and I said to Matt, Amy, you always finish where you deserve to, and we finished 11th, and we finished there for a reason, because we weren't consistent over the season at home and on the road.
Yeah.
No, couldn't agree more.
And that's what we've got to change next season. That's what we've got to change next season, Ryan and Amy. We've got to be more consistent and turn these draws. We had a lot of draws, Amy, as well, didn't we? We need to turn the draws into victories.
One that stood out to me was a game I was at, was Morecambe away. I was so disappointed coming out of the ground that day. I was so disappointed. And it was just a story of sort of where we were at in that period, I think.
Yeah.
You were in that game, weren't you, Amy? You went to Morecambe.
I was. It was very much.
Amy.
We did. That's where we met. And it was very much. We went there thinking, oh, surely this will be all right. Surely we can beat Morecambe, and we just couldn't get. If I remember right, we had a fair few shots. We just couldn't hit the target.
It was one of them games where you're sitting there, and we're all over them. I think up to half time, it was 0-0, Ryan, and then I said to me, lad who went with me that day, Ollie, I'll tell you what'll happen here. They'll score. I've seen Town so many times, and it's as if you can predict what's going to happen. I think they had one attack. First attack, they went down our end, and they scored. And then obviously Wes Burns equalised, and we nearly won it. But it was another game where you come away and you're thinking, we really should have won that game. And next season, they're the games that I think you need to turn them draws into wins, and then we won't be 11th. We'll be higher up the table.
100%.
Yeah, totally agree. So what would you go for, chaps? Let's say the games that you were at, which gives Crunch more choice than it gives me. What would you say is was your favourite away performance this year?
Well, I think you've got to look at the Portsmouth, the Wickham and the Gillingham game. I mean, if you go away, look, there he is, Mark Ashton. That was at Lincoln.
It's Lincoln, isn't it? Yeah.
That was a good day. That was a good day because I went sat next to Colin. Callie was behind me, and that was obviously the first win, wasn't it? It was like game number 7. You're thinking, blimey.
That's right.
This wasn't in the script, was it? Like 6 games in, and we've failed to beat Cheltenham, Burton Albion, Morecambe. So we went there and we won 1-0. But I think, if you look, Amy, at Portsmouth, Wickham, Gillingham, if you go away and you score 4 goals, it's got to be a good away day. And you think, like you were saying about Wickham, we went there that night, and it was the first 20 minutes, they played really well. They went 1-0 up. After that, we absolutely dominated them. And the same for Portsmouth. So it is frustrating that we finished where we did, because we know on our day we can beat anybody in this league.
I think frustration is the key here, because genuinely, I do think we are one of the best teams in this league, and that is with the current squad. But there's no good given, we gave Wigan a really good game at Portman Road towards the back end of the season. But there's no good, we're speaking about the Morecambe game, then going to Morecambe and drawing, I know we drew with Wigan, but if we're basing that on performances, it goes to show we are one of the better teams in the league, because we showed that against one of the better teams in the league. But if we're going one of the lower teams in the league and not producing and not getting that 3 points, it's like that's why we were.
Yeah, agreed. And actually that is one of the things that, so in my head, I wonder if you can only play against what's put in front of you, or whatever the phrase is. Yeah. So I feel like we are able to step up our quality against teams like Wickham, even Portsmouth back then. Plymouth, I think we played fairly well against. Wigan, I think that was probably my favourite away game of this year, because I think that was the one we played best at. I think we were unlucky not to have got more out of that. Although, if I remember right, I think it was quite a late goal from Norwood.
Yeah, the celebration.
Yes, I'd forgotten that. But I often feel like we play well against the teams that are doing well. We just haven't quite got with our nice passing football this year. We're not quite managing the whole dig deep. I think the defence do. I'm questioning myself now, but I'm not sure the rest of the team do. And this is where I've had a few debates on Twitter recently, where personally, not a massive fan of Chelina this year. I don't think he's lived up to what he could have done, but I do genuinely think that's because I've seen him play away from home, and I don't think he plays as well away from home as he does at home, if that makes sense. So do you guys think it's the sort of style of football against those teams when we're away?
Struggled with is when we come up against teams that are happy for a draw to them is a big. So when we come up against teams that are wanting to park the bus, next season we really need to find a way through, because we're against the teams that want to play football against us. I feel we could beat anyone, or we could beat any league that wants to play a proper game of football. I think where we do struggle is when we're facing 11 men behind the ball and we can't get through.
Yeah, Yeah, totally agree. So we've asked on Twitter today other people's favourite away day memories. So we've got Wickham away, Chelina running the ball towards us and an empty net to make it 4-1. Never
You
saw
call
it
him
coming.
Chelina.
Oh,
You're the only
God.
person I've ever heard call him Chelina.
I get told off it all the
Elena.
time. It's not.
Chelina, Amy. You're as bad as Gov. He can't bloody pronounce his bloody players.
I think I've just got it. I think I've just reached the point now where I'm just being really stubborn for the sake of it. It's like, no, this is what I call it, and I'm not changing it.
Is he going to be here next season quickly?
I wouldn't be against it, but personally, I'm really worried about getting told off on Twitter. But I'm not. I'm not that fast. I'm really not that fast.
I'd like to see him back personally. I would like to see him back. I feel like in his moments he offers us something that we don't have. I don't believe that anyone else in the squad would have scored that goal against Crewe with the control, with the chip, everything.
Yeah,
everything. I don't even know if anyone else in League One would have scored that goal.
I do agree with Martin sometimes, right? Because Martin always says about Selena, he is on a different page sometimes to the other players. They're not on his wavelength. And I think striker-wise, if we get that decent striker in next season, and he does come back to the club, I don't know if he will. You know, the money that he was being paid, he was on a lot of money. I don't think he'd get that deal, Amy, if he came back again. Look, I'm a Selena fan, but I'm a bit. I don't know. I'd take him back. Yeah, I would, but I think a lot depends on what other players are available. Exactly. I know he said that he wants to come back, but he'll have other teams probably chasing him, and he might think, I've been to town twice, and he might fancy going somewhere else, maybe.
Is it Matt on the platform that's saying about he feels he might go somewhere else in Europe? Potentially.
Yeah, Max said Germany, possibly. Yeah. So just wait and see. But I'm sure that might come up in the chat tomorrow with Mark Ashton. I've had 2 or 3 people ask me about Selena, and I don't think he's going to sort of say yes or no, but we can still ask the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike D said his favourite moment was Bond's "He's behind you" moment against Sheffield Wednesday.
And I told him it was a home game, and he said, "I've had a long day."
I saw that.
Come on, Mike D, get with it. Read the tweet.
I missed that one. And I've had a couple of people saying, and I've seen it in the comments as well, the worst away game was Cambridge away. You clearly weren't at Accrington Stanley, but anyway, what was yours, Rich?
The worst away game was Charlton Athletic on the Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Absolute shambles. I was sat there, Amy, watching that, thinking, right, we've had 19 new players, we've got new American owners, and nothing's changed. We were absolutely dross. Then you had Toto arguing with the fans after the game. It was just a car crash. It was a mess. I know Cook had gone. I spoke to Sam Morsey, I think, at Barrow away. And I did agree with him. Like, when your manager goes, they weren't I don't think they were in the right place, headspace that day. They were all over the place. We were an embarrassment that night. We were lucky it was only 2-0. Christian Walton, he was fantastic that night, man of the match. But that, for me, was by far... That was even worse than Barrow away. I enjoyed going to Barrow. You know, it was a long way. I got back at 5:10 in the morning. But I knew driving there, Ryan, we're on the telly. We're probably going to lose.
Yeah. No, it's a curse. It's a curse.
And it's the cup. So...
yeah, exactly. We know that.
What about you, Ryan? What was your worst?
I've got to agree with Crunch. I think Charlton was a real low for us. That was a real low. Everything about it, from the performance to the scenes after the game, it was extremely disappointing, wasn't it? It was...
And I always feel, Ryan, just let me come in, on the away games in London, Amy, it was the atmosphere that night was a little bit, I wouldn't say toxic, but you've got people who've been out on the lash all day in London. You know, we took about, I think, 3,000 there. People were not happy. Yeah. Look, we know the emotion that gets involved in football. You know, we all know that. We've all probably done things and said things at games that we didn't really probably want to say. But it takes over you. And that night at the end, when Toto came over and he's walking towards, he's getting a bit of stick from the fans. The best thing for a player to do in that situation, applaud the away fans, get down the tunnel. There's no benefit when he came over to start arguing with people. It was just an absolute shit show. It was.
It's not
I suppose they were caught.
Either, is it? You know, it's not. Not the kind of thing that happens. I mean, Ipswich fan base on a whole is a really friendly, and you don't often get that kind of thing. But I think that was a boiling point. I think everyone at that point in time was just so disappointed and so fed up with where we're at. That combined with, like you say, Crunch, many people were probably in the city all day having a few beers.
But it wasn't what we'd expected. It wasn't what we'd been sold sort of pre-season, had it, Amy? You know, all the expectation we had, and it just looked as though it was going to be another season, you know, of disappointment. And it probably was in the end when you look at the league table.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, thank God they didn't let it drag on as we have had to suffer in the past. It's at least there was a turn shortly afterwards. I don't think it was very long afterwards that we had, you know, we started to pick up again. So
was it the Wigan away game after that?
Wigan was December, I think it was. Yeah, I'm sure it was close after that.
Yeah, that was on the Saturday, Ryan. That was on the Saturday after Charlton.
That's right. And Charlton was the Tuesday.
And that was just night and day, wasn't it? The performance on the pitch from Charlton to Wigan.
Yes, it was. Yeah, you're right, McGreal.
We need to think about it. I mean, you see the job we done on Charlton last week. So does that show how far we've come in that time frame, or were Charlton not at the races?
I just think they were on the beach that day. It was a little bit. I don't know. It was a little bit of both. We played really poor there, and they played really poor at ours. And I don't think it's probably a reflection on both teams, because
I think that's why we were 11th and 12th, though, Crunch.
Yeah, there you go. We both finished in about the same position, didn't we? So that probably says enough about both sides that we finished where we did. And then they obviously sacked their manager, didn't they? A couple of days later, Jackson went.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that evening, I think they had Charlton TV on the iFollow. They have their own channel, like what Town are looking to do. And they were talking about playoffs. So it was like he was the best thing since sliced bread, sorry. Yeah. You know, it just goes to show, you know, a different 6 months or so can make in football, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, we just have to sort of sit back and wait and see sometimes, don't we? How about goals? I can't say I've been able to see too many this year. But how about you guys? What away goals?
I'll ask you a question, Amy. Are you going to go to Accrington next season? Because I remember you said. I'm not going to Accrington again. I think they're actually putting a roof. They're actually putting a roof on the away terrace.
Oh, well, that's half the charm a bit of how awful that away stand is. But Accrington is on my train line, so it is probably the easiest game for me to get to. So I guarantee I'll change my mind, but I hate the place.
100% we've got a stinking record there, haven't we?
Yeah, I've never seen us win there. I think the only time we won there was during lockdown when it was no fans.
Maybe that's the way to go. We'll go to Accrington and then we play behind closed doors and we can beat them.
I tell you what I do like about Accrington, though, and that leads us on nicely to another question, is the pub there. I do really enjoy the pub and the beer garden at Accrington. I know that you haven't been drinking, Crunch, but are there any away pubs that...
My favourite pub was, I went to Sunderland. Did you go to Sunderland, Ryan?
Yes, I did, Crunch, and I made some notes before the show.
Did you go to the Wheat Chief?
I did indeed.
It was absolute carnage. So they got an entertainer there. He's a Sunderland fan, Amy. He's called Wee Philly. And he gets up on stage. And this was probably the first pub I've been in since lockdown. It was absolutely rammed that day. It was probably COVID central, Amy, at that time. We stayed up there the night before. We went there. A lot of Town fans, a lot of Sunderland fans. Great, brilliant banter. He got a couple of fans up on stage, didn't he, Ryan?
Yeah, he was up on the stage there, wasn't he? And I remember the Sunderland fans were closest to the stage and the Town fans were sort of the other side of the door. And the pub was kind of split 50-50 and it was great. There was a lot of back and forth, but it was all really friendly. And I've actually got that written down as my favourite away pub. Did you see
the lad go outside in his boxes after doing the press-ups by the traffic lights?
I don't think I did.
He had a Town fan and a Sunderland fan. He had like two lots. And the first lot were having a pillow fight. I can't remember what happened the second one, Amy, but the lad, he was with a group of lads, he was a Town fan. He'd obviously had a few beers. So in the end, he's in his boxer shorts. And he says, you've got to go and do 10 press-ups. And he points out the window, out there, on the little island, by the traffic light. So he runs out there and everyone's looking, and then he has to do 10 star jumps. That was it, 10 star jumps. He's doing them outside, and then he comes running back in, and everyone's like cheering, going, it's great. Brilliant away pub. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It was really good. Really good.
I think my favourite was Morecambe. First of all, it was a new ground. I loved Morecambe just in general. I think it was just a little bit special being by the seaside and seeing all the Ipswich fans pose with Eric Morecambe's statue. And we had breakfast in the Wetherspoons, which is named after him as well. I can't think what it's called now. Or remember, he's watching.
Do you know Tyson Fury's house, Amy?
No, what was that one?
Tyson Fury's house is up there, isn't he? Because he lives in Morecambe.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I wonder if he goes to the pub. There was loads and loads of Ipswich fans in the pub we were in.
What was Amy, but I think we were in there. We were all in there. I remember, and there was a couple of guys off the platform that I got talking to and stuff, and it was just great. You know, for myself, obviously, I live so far away from Ipswich, but I walked in that pub and saw so many faces that I hadn't seen for years. Right? And it's just great. It's great.
Agreed. You know? Yeah, everywhere I turned, there was somebody else to see. It was really, and I do like that with the Eric Bartholomew aunt said that was the Wetherspoons pub there. That's what I do like at Northern games. We've got like a little crowd. There are quite a few of us who go to lots of the Northern games, so we all get to see each other. But every so often you get a Northern game that's a new ground tick or is the right time of year, and you do suddenly just get loads more people coming up from down south, and that is nice. That's like, you're right. Everywhere you turn, because we don't normally get that. Yeah, I know you guys get it when you go to Portman Road, but we don't get that away games. So it's
and
really.
Still says Amy in the chat there. I went to the other way pub in Sunderland just to avoid Wee Philly. He's called him Free Willy. He's called him Free Willy, Ryan. Answer right. Away day sourpuss. He went to Wilson.
Thank you, Lewis. It wasn't an obvious name.
Did you see him at Wilson?
Yes, I did. Ant's season might be over for Ipswich, but not for Ant Steele. He's still driving here, there, and everywhere. But Wilstone, I used to go
away women's games as well, doesn't he? Him and Ben.
Yeah. They travelled. They literally travel everywhere. They are good. I'd love to. I wonder if Ant's figured out how many miles he's travelled, so we'll compare him to the players in a moment. But we reckon. So we think probably Sunderland was a popular away boozer. I liked Morecambe. Apparently, it was called the Boardwalk.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that does ring a bell.
Oxford, Amy. I went to Oxford. It's a weird place, Oxford, because they've got free stands and a car park behind the other. And there was Frankie and Benny's, literally about 2-minute walk ride from the ground. Perfect. That was a good away day, Amy. That was a good away day.
Like having a bit of an explore. It's like I can't stand MK Dons because it's all just there and it's
the Dons was another good away game, because obviously Colin will probably talk that when he comes on. Obviously 7,000, but see, I like the stadium's good at MK, but I like the older stadiums, and like something like I do like Morecambe. If we'll get to our favourite away grounds, Hillsborough's my favourite. You know, it's a proper old school football stadium. You know, too often now, Ryan. I think when they build these new grounds, they all sort of look the same, and they're a little bit soulless, aren't they? MK's soulless, Amy. Old's 30,000, and when we went there was like 12,000, I think 13, and that was only because there was 7,000 of us. They said there was more MK fans that day than us, but there clearly wasn't.
Exactly.
Clearly not.
For their crunch, it's one of those. It's a bit like Portman Road. It just seeps tradition, you know. It's a real football ground that's been about for so long, and there's been so many great games played there, and you can kind of feel that when you're there, you know.
Although saying that, I think that's a question tomorrow for Mark Ashton. There is some people who would move away from Portman Road. I know Amy is not one of them.
Never. I'd never want to see us move away from Portman Road.
I think everybody knows that I'm not. I'm definitely not one of them. I think Wes Burns' dad said to me at that home game I was at, "Oh yeah, you're the one that doesn't want us to leave Portman Road." So I think there was quite a few people who got my opinion across that night. That would be absolutely diabolical. I am told that Colin is waiting in the wings, so it'd be lovely to have a chat with him. So I'm hoping. Yep, there we go. Thank you, Martin. Hello, lovely.
Amy, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Hello, Brian. How are you? Rich?
Colin, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Colin, and I've also got the Sunderland game on here on the iPad. So have you got it on at home?
I've got it out of the corner of my eye. Not a brilliant game, to be honest, but yeah, let's not talk about that. Away days, yeah. Look, I think it's been tremendous this year, and something I haven't written in my book right yet, but will be in there, is that I can remember going with a good old friend of mine, John Steed, his name was. We used to go in the car, we used to go on a train, we used to go on the coach kind of thing. And even when we was top of the first division, our away attendances, even getting up to the business end of the season, was not brilliant. Weren't bad, but not brilliant. I can tell each and every one of you Ipswich fans right now, you youngsters especially, and the ones in the 20s and 30s, you're an absolute credit to your football club. I'll tell you, our away support right now is as good as it's ever been in my lifetime. It's absolutely incredible. You know how much I love this football club. I love this football club second only to my family. But I also love the supporters and the fans. And you've done credit to yourselves, especially this last season, because we had all that COVID and we've come back, and all of you have come back, and you've been a credit in your numbers, how you supported the club, how you've conducted yourselves, and everything else about you. You're all a credit to that football club, and I hope Mark Ashton hears this tonight. They've been a credit to you, Mark Ashton, to Mr. O'Leary and the owners and everybody. Fantastic, all of you.
Actually, we've had in seasons gone by, we've had free, I mean, I never got to have it, but free away tickets for losing 7-1 at Peterborough and God knows what other awful performances. Really, it's the people who've been all over the place this year and the support. And I tell you what is really good, every single game I've been to this year, what I have noticed is the atmosphere. It's not just the numbers, it's the singing, it's the chanting, it's keeping going.
Brilliant, Amy.
It is fantastic. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bolton away when we lost 2-0 and Donny was a bit boring, but it was, for the most of the days, most of the games, it's just been fabulous.
I'm gonna throw one out there, Amy, to the Ipswich supporters. If we can have the tickets, if Mr. O'Leary and the owners or whoever can get us the tickets, let's go for 10,000. See if we can take 10,000 to MK Dons, and I'm sure we can do it. If they can give us 10,000, I'm sure we'll sell them. I really do. But going on to the away games, like you was talking about, Amy, there's several that I went to that I'd like to point out. Again, like Rich said, that was lovely at Lincoln. It was lovely at Portsmouth. I like sitting with Rich. He knows that, and Callie and whatever. Portsmouth and Lincoln were fantastic. Gillingham was fantastic. All those games were fantastic. Not because of the results, but the camaraderie and everything was fantastic. The game that will be a highlight for me, I don't care whether because it was a 2-1 defeat, is how away at Plymouth. I love the Southwest, as Amy knows and Rich knows, and more or less everybody who knows me knows. But I'll tell you what, those Southwestern Plymouth fans, they were fantastic how they put that on that day for Paul, and I loved absolutely. I took Venetia we had a 4-dayer down there, and I absolutely loved that weekend. Apart from having me car it.
I knew you were going to say that.
Had me car it in Lear, Amy.
I was right outside the police station.
Yeah.
What, by another car? Or?
Oh, yeah.
A bloke with a surfboard. The boys there. Yeah, we was parked behind some lady. All of a sudden, bang! Poor Venetia's head went bang onto the headrest. Yeah, but it was all right. It was all right. Well, apart from the result.
Worry, Colin, we've got plenty of trips to the Southwest next season.
Yeah, lovely.
You've got Bristol Rovers, you've got Forest Green, you've got Plymouth. You might have Swindon come up. Plenty of trips down that way.
I keep. I said to Andy the other day, I hope we get MK first game of the season. That'd be brilliant. First game of the season away at MK. That'd be brilliant.
I need Plymouth away
Do I?
around about the second week of August. I need the Plymouth away somewhere around the second week of August because I'm down in Cornwall then,
Well,
so that would work out really well.
Actually, Amy, that would be lovely because obviously that come in my. To what, Rich?
I was going to say, when's Amy down in Cornwall? 2nd of August?
I think it's the 15th of August, so like the second weekend of the season. Might be third by then.
We'll be looking. Colin gets so much holiday. He'll be doing loads of away games from his bloody job, won't you, mate?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm hoping like it'll be Plymouth or something in August, Rich. You take Venetia down and have a week down there, Amy, you know, and Ryan, yeah. But
Amy, you didn't include this. You didn't include this. It's a favourite away game, favourite goal, favourite ground. You should ask Colin what his favourite thing he has in his rolls on the bus.
What's your favourite roll filler, Colin? Don't you always talk about this like cheese and pickle or something?
Cheese and pickle.
I like cheese and pickle and I like ham as well. Yeah.
They were talking
If you're sitting next to someone and they haven't got any food, do you offer them roll, Colin, or do you just eat them all yourself?
I offered one. Actually, it's funny you should say that. I did offer one to the, you know, those two young boys, Rich.
Yeah.
I offered one to them, but they said they weren't hungry, so I was up with them.
No, there you go. They didn't obviously.
So, Colin, we were talking earlier about you followed the games obviously up and down the country. I have a theory that when we have to travel further, we struggle more and we don't play so well. What do you reckon? Like, obviously, I saw you at where have I seen you? Bolton, I think. I'm sure I saw you at Bolton, Crewe, Morecambe.
No, I didn't go to Bolton. I saw you at Crewe. Did you go to Sheffield Wednesday?
No, I didn't. Couldn't make that one. Maybe
that
was our only one, Morecambe.
Yeah, I didn't go to Morecambe. I went to the old ground. I've been to the new one. I have to do that one next year.
Colin,
I was going to say, I agree totally with Rich about. Sorry, Rich.
I've got a question. Did you go to Oxford?
Don't you do that, mate. Which one did you miss? Hey, COVID, Mr. COVID, which one did you miss?
Shrewsbury.
There you go. 1-1.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Rich. I totally agree with what you said earlier on about Hillsborough. That is one of my favourite grounds. I love going to Hillsborough. It's I totally agree with what you said. It's a traditional old ground. I always love the tannoys there. They're always loud and deep. I love loud, deep tannoys. You know, it's like
you don't get that kind of Portman Road with a tannoy.
Hey.
You don't
bloody everything.
Yeah. But
love it.
I'll tell you what, we got quite a soaking at Gillingham, Rich, didn't we?
Well, Martin, he was hoping that Gillingham got relegated, Amy, because they've had a temporary stand there for about nearly 20 years with no roof. Yeah, look, it was good. That was a good away day, Colin. It was wet, but it was 4-0, so I think you can take that.
Yeah,
does it when you get to see that many goals? Surely, when it matters is when you're stood at Accrington and you're losing again, and it's chucking it down, and all you want to do is go and get a bottle of wine and sulk for yet another away day.
That was my favourite goal at Gillingham, Ryan and Amy and Rich. The build up to the Bong goal was tremendous. And a certain Sonny Aluko was involved with that, Rich.
Hang on.
If you remember, right?
Gov's in the chat. Gov's in the chat. He's not having pre-assist, so that doesn't count.
Sorry. That was one of the best worked team goals that we scored all season. I think at least kind of the outfield players touched the ball in the build up to that, and That was for me at that point. It was one of was it McKenna's first or second game? I think it was his second game. Was it?
Yeah, he'd had Wickham, hadn't he? He had Wickham just after Christmas.
And at that point, after watching that goal, I thought, we've got a real coach on our hands. We've got someone that's going to really build a football team who will play the way that, me personally, I love to see us pass the ball and create chances through passing it through the pitch, And that was one of my favourite goals of the season, actually, just because of how well worked it was,
Yeah. When it's not just down to one player, it's about the whole team finally together. Yeah.
Amy, can I ask the three of you a question? Which away game would you prefer first away game of the season?
One
Rich.
that I haven't travelled over 6 hours to, Colin.
I think Lee Brown said in the chat. I did hear the other day, Colin. They've requested to be away the first game of the season, Town, because obviously they've got some work going on there.
That's interesting.
Right,
so July the 30th, it's going to be sunny, hopefully. I'm hoping it's going to be one of the promoted teams. I'd love a trip to Bristol Rovers. I've never been there. I've got a few friends who are fans of the Rovers. So I wouldn't mind going there. And I think you might see James Norwood in the opposition.
I'm going the complete opposite. I'm in Scarborough for my first anniversary, so I want it to be like MK Dons away or something. So it's an away game that I really don't care about. I need it to be one I don't want to go to. That would be good fun in August for you guys, and I can sit and enjoy the sun in Scarborough instead.
I think I'd like one of two for obvious reasons. I think I'd like obviously Plymouth, get that out of the way, or obviously MK Dons. I think that first away game would be unbelievable.
What about Wayne Rooney's Derby? That'd be a good away trip first up.
Yeah,
we like Pride Park, especially if they give us like 4,000 tickets like they normally do, Rich.
I think you're in the other corner now, Colin. They have them in the corner.
So
not behind the goal.
Yeah. We used to get a lot of tickets there, Rich, didn't we?
Yeah, normally take good.
I've been with quite a few there. Yeah. Colin, thank you ever so much for coming on. It's been nice to speak to another away day veteran. I know you've been to lots and lots this year, haven't you?
Yeah, well, let's just end on, like I said about the fans, let's keep going in our numbers and let's be that 12th man and let this get this club back where we kind of belong. I mean, we're not a third tier club. We've never been a third tier club, and as soon as we get back in that championship, the better. Because that's the least we deserve.
Let's cut you off. It was a lovely, meaningful moment to move on. But yeah, so what I wanted to do was have a chat about how far we have travelled this year and which players have travelled the furthest. So in total, Ipswich Town have travelled, and I've done this by hand, so if I have missed anywhere, I apologise. 8,980 miles in total. Which player do you think has travelled the furthest?
Genoy Donatium.
It's not a bad shout at all.
How are you gauging who's travelled the furthest?
I've gone through every away game, and every player that has been named in the squad. So,
right.
Not necessarily just people who've travelled, that have played. People who've travelled as well.
I think Bond must be up there.
Bond is definitely up there. The most travelled is Chaplin at 7,948. Donatian was very close behind. He was certainly one of the top 5, as was Bond. Donatian was 7,674. Bond was 7,326.
Where was Halagki, Amy? Because he must be up there.
Yeah, just read my mind. He was up there. That I was really surprised. He's 7,868. So he was the top. He was the second most travelled player this year.
Even though he's not played, he's still been there, hasn't he, on the bench?
Yeah, he
exactly.
Missed towards the end, did he? There was one or two, I think, where he missed.
I think Prudy missed, didn't he, when Hayes was on the bench?
That's right. Yeah, and there was another one.
My train of thought with Donatian was that I don't recall him being injured. So if he wasn't injured, he travelled at minimum without, even if he didn't start.
Yeah,
that was
definitely.
him.
It was really interesting filling it out. Like, I've got a little spreadsheet going, and you could see like the team sort of shifting around a lot at the beginning of the season, and then once McKenna gets here, it just suddenly settles, and that back four stays the same, apart from injury, obviously, for ages and ages. And you just think, yeah, that's why for me that, like Cook said about our inconsistency, it was like, well, because you kept swapping the team around. And interestingly, like Chelina, he hadn't scored in many games. I know I keep mentioning him, but that was another thing I was interested to see if you guys could figure out who was the top scorer away from home.
Away from home.
Away from home.
Blimey. Wes Burns must be up there.
Yeah, he's up there.
Emerson. Thanks for spoiling it. I'm behind on my stream of Sunderland. It's just 1-1. They've just equalised.
Oh. Spoiler alert.
You're watching.
Oh.
What was the?
There you
what are
go.
they? What's that overall?
Lee Gregory. That's 1-1 on aggregate now. 73 minutes. Looks like.
How
Could be extra time.
exciting must that be?
Could
there?
be extra time. Wouldn't we love some playoff action, guys? We're sitting here watching it, and we'd
really
love to
would.
be there, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. No, in fact, do you know what? Sod that. No, I want to win the league next year. I don't. I don't want playoffs. I don't want to have to deal with traveling the country again like I did in 2015.
Fast forward to this time next year, and we are playing in the playoffs. I'd bite your hand off. I really would.
True.
Very true. I mean, in the time we've been down, we haven't really put a real solid challenge together. I know we've started seasons well and petered away, but we haven't really been amongst it. And it's like Colin said earlier, just before he left, for a club of our stature, it's wrong. We need to really next year have a really strong push for it, you know.
Yeah.
So if you said to me, we'll fast forward 12 months and we'd be in the playoffs right now, I'd say absolutely brilliant. Just to be in with a chance, you know.
Yeah,
I agree. To go from 11th, Amy, where we are, to
win
in the
league.
playoffs. To win the league is massive. I think it's like about another 9 wins we'd have to do this next season. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Ryan. If you said playoffs right now, before you know who's signed, we might sign 2 or 3 really good signings, and you think, blimey, we can win the league with them. But I think at the minute, like you say, we haven't even challenged the playoffs. And whatever people say about the playoffs, I mean, it is so exciting. You're on the edge of your seat. There's always drama, you know. And I'd take that now. Honestly,
yeah.
I think as much as they're awful when you lose, but they're flipping incredible when you win, and that they are such a lovely
day out of Wembley. Imagine a day out of Wembley. We're one of the only, I think, 5 or 6 teams who've still not played at the new Wembley. Going to Wembley, taking 40,000, you know, wouldn't that be
incredible? Great? Absolutely, definitely. By the way, the top striker away, I think, was Macaulay Bonne. He certainly scored in the most games, which I thought was quite interesting because obviously I'd always thought he was good at home, but not necessarily doing much away. But he still was earlier in the season. He just peters off, doesn't he?
Would you like to see Macaulay back? If it was on the table and he was going to come in and say the 3rd, 4th striker, would you both have him back?
Not for me. I think you need better. And I don't think he'd come back as a 3rd or 4th striker.
Yeah,
at his age,
I think that's a fair point.
I think he needs to play football.
Yeah.
I honestly do. Look,
I think that's
town through and through, Amy. It's just the way it started, it was brilliant. And I think if in November, December time, if anyone had said he won't get 20 goals, everyone had thought you'd be absolutely mad. And we were all saying then, look, sign him. We were, and I was. It shows how football changes so quickly.
He lived every one of our dreams.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. I love that. How perfectly put. I just think we've seen enough players at Ipswich who have struggled with rough times and then have managed to turn themselves back round again. And I think we lose patience with individual players too quickly sometimes. And I would like to give him a second chance. But I do think I'm buying into the romance of the story behind it. Like
you say about losing patience, but say November time, Bonne had a lot of credit in the bank with town fans, a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
You know, with the story and the goals he had scored, it's like Crunch said, if you had told me around that time that he wouldn't have scored 20 goals this season, I would have said you're mad. I said, there's no chance.
Yeah.
You know, what was he on? 11 around Christmas? And you think
11 after 16 games he was, Ryan, and then he's got 1 goal in his last 30 odd. It was night and day, Amy. It really was. You know, it was the player from early, everything he touched turned to goals.
Yeah.
And he looked a completely different player. But I agree with you. He's had personal stuff off the pitch, which has affected him. And a lot of people, I think, sometimes think that these footballers are bulletproof. You know, they're just human beings like us. You know, they all have their problems. But if he comes back, look, I wouldn't be against it because I'm a big Macaulay Bond fan. He's done a lot of work in the community, you know, as well. So we'll see what happens, I suppose.
And what a great role model for the younger generation of fans. He's from Ipswich. You can do this. You know, you can find yourself on that Portman Road pitch scoring goals in front of the North Stand, you know?
Even just the fact that like he had his sort of dreams destroyed when he was younger as he got dropped by Ipswich, and then he still found his way back, and he's, you know, he still proved himself. I think, you're absolutely right. Like overcoming those obstacles and keep fighting for your dreams and all of that guff. But it's true. It is absolutely true.
I think he's been an absolute credit to the club in his time here.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Love that. Absolutely perfect. I tell you what we'll end on is the new away games that we're getting next season from what we know so far. Rich has already touched on it. So we've got Plymouth, Exeter and Forest Green. Those are confirmed, aren't they? Bristol Rovers, that's it. Bristol Rovers. And then coming down, Barnsley Derby and my mind escapes. Peterborough, that's it. So Peterborough will be
they'll be strong next season. They always are in League One. They'll be up there.
It'll be the same thing as when Rotherham came down last year. They know how to get out of this league.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know about Barnsley. Ryan. I know they've the manager's gone. Yeah. I don't know how they're going. It'd be interesting Derby as well, Amy, because I know they're on about a takeover, but I think the stumbling point there is the ground. Because I think Mel Morris, the owner, he still owns the ground. Yeah. So I did see, Ron, that they reckon they could play at Stoke next season.
Really?
That's crazy.
I saw something on Twitter earlier. It was something to do with 20 million. He was demanding 20 million. And that would kind of seal it, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. It's another one that should never happen to a club of Derby's size.
Yeah.
Should never happen. And you can say what you like about Marcus Evans, but he stopped that from happening to us at a time when we needed someone. So.
But they gambled, Ryan, you know, they were spending a lot of money, obviously chasing the dream, and they didn't get there. And in the end, it caught up with them. It did.
Definitely.
And they were the example we always used as a bit of a defence for Evans, as far as you could defend him, in that actually you can throw money at football, but that's not what's going to be the answer. We've seen it this year. We've been one of the biggest spenders in the league, and we've finished 11th, for Christ's sake.
Have you seen Lee Brown's comment there in
yes,
the comments?
I have.
The best thing about Barnsley is the road out of it. I don't mind that. I don't mind that, Amy. I like Oakwood. I've
got to say, Barnsley is one of my favourite away days. I am over the moon that it's back. It's a cracking away day.
Forest Green, don't go there. If you go there, don't go there expecting a burger or a meat pie, because it's totally
all vegan, isn't it?
Totally vegan. Everything.
Mike D has said, are you allowed at Forest Green in your car, or do you have to have an electric one?
Well, it's funny because I think they are getting an electric coach, Forest Green.
Are they really?
Doesn't that show, Amy and Ryan, how far we've fallen? If you'd have said to me, even 5 years ago, we'd be playing at Forest Green.
Yeah.
Forest Green. It's a village. It's a village in a place called Nailsworth. You know?
Wouldn't even known where. I know it's down in Gloucestershire, is it not? Is it in Gloucestershire? Yeah. I have no idea what town.
I think it's at the top of a hill as well.
I just see all of that, for me, just makes it even more attractive. It just sounds fun. It sounds different. I think that's going to be a really
one to get tickets for.
I agree.
It's fun until you
which
go
is why
there.
it's a good thing you've got a season ticket.
Amy, it's fun until you go there and you get rolled over.
Well, that's true. And then you've got the long journey back.
Another new loafer town. We've gone to Forest Green. Look, we went to Cheltenham this season, then we got rolled over at Cheltenham. We're thinking that's another thing next season that we need to do, Amy. We're talking about these teams that are coming up. The 4 that come up last season, we took 4 points from the games. You know, we failed to beat any of them. Where Rotherham, they won 8 games. They beat them home and away, all of them. And that's another thing that we can do. You know, it's little margins football, you know, and things like that. You can make a lot of points up there.
Yeah, I think that's quite a nice way to end, like what we would like to see out of our away games next season. Would you rather see, you know, some consistency, digging deep, and then have some thumping wins at home, or would you rather see us, what would you like to see us improve with our away performances?
Well, I think if we want to get promotion, which we do, your bedrock's your home form. But I think we're set up to play away from home. You know, look, we haven't got nothing down the left. We'll probably fill that gap in the summer. But Wes Burns, Amy, you know, you're playing away. Some of these teams, if they're attacking us, the most dangerous time is when we haven't got the ball. You know, if we break, look at that goal. That's my favourite goal. I don't think we went on favourite goals. My favourite goal was the goal at Oxford away. Selena's goal. It was on the break.
Wrote down, Rich.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
That was one of them moments, you know, when you're at a game and it's gone down the right in front of us because we were on the side. Wes Burns has absolutely tore past the fullback and he's pulled it across. Selena's running in on it. And you know where the fans, you can hear them all go, go on. Yeah. And you're just waiting for that ball to hit the net. And when it went in the net, it was brilliant. Fantastic. But yeah, that's where I think we can hit these teams next season, Amy, with the pace. Sign that good striker. I think we'll have a lot of good away days next season. I really do.
I think that just touching on that game, that was the game for me where I thought it's gone. I think that was the one where I really lost hope. I just felt like a bigger gap to make.
It was so near.
I lost hope at Accrington.
I do agree with Ryan. It was. I think if we'd have won there, it was all about momentum. If we could have won that game. The way they celebrated at the end, Oxford, it made me laugh because they're celebrating like they've just won the league, and it tickled me that their form just they fell off the cliff, didn't they? Didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's probably where it all did. It sort of the season it did peter out a little bit, didn't it, Ryan?
I almost feel like I wouldn't say the players gave up, but I think the players knew as well as we did. It was such a big ask from that point.
It's funny football. It's funny football, isn't it, Amy? We've all been to games. You know, when you're there. You're that close to it being a brilliant away day, you know, the trip home is great. And you're standing there at the end thinking, I can't believe just what happened. And it feels like you've actually lost the game.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
The whole day is ruined. I cannot tell you the number of times me and my mates have turned to each other at full time and said, why didn't we just stay in the pub? Like, why did we bother with the game?
Remember the Norwich away game when Chambers scored? And then, what's the guy's name who equalised for Norwich in the 96th?
Pookie, wasn't it? Was that
No,
Pookie?
The centre half, Grant Hanley. That was it.
Oh, that's it.
And where I stood that day, I went with Rob Chandler because he got me a ticket, Amy, and I was standing right on the barrier, right next to the Norwich fans. And it's one of them where you have to take it, you know, you have to stand there and you're absolutely helpless and you can't do anything. And it's absolutely, it's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
Sickening.
And we've had a few of them this year, but hopefully we won't see too many awful goals next year. I did see Mike saying some last minute winners would be nice. Totally agree with that. I would just like to be able to go to games and not sit there when we're 1-0 up, absolutely panicking and still 100% convinced that we're going to lose, even when we're 1 goal ahead. Because at away games, I don't know the actual stats on it, but I feel like at away games, we're terrible at keeping leads. And that for me is what I want to see us change. And I don't think it's anything to do with the atmosphere, because as Colin said, the support has been phenomenal.
I thought Lewis's goal of the season would be Matt Penny. Look, he's at Matt Penny fan club. There he is.
To be fair.
Ryan, before we go, do you want to tell everybody all about your group?
Yeah, no. So a few months ago, 3-4 months ago, I started a group on Twitter called ITFC Scotland. The aim of the group was just to bring people like myself together to, even if it was watching a game on the telly, or if it got to a point where it was a group of people meeting up for games, going to games, you know, be that getting a train together, getting a minibus. Since I moved to Scotland, one thing I really missed was the community feel of going to football. So the aim of the group really was just to fill that void for people, you know. So if anyone wants to get involved or knows anyone living up in Scotland, we're on Twitter as ITFC Scotland. Send us a message. We've got a WhatsApp group chat where, you know, we're aiming to make plans to go to games together. And as I was saying to you before the show started, Amy, you know, there's a few groups of guys up in the Highlands. There's people in Edinburgh. There's people in Glasgow. There's people dotted about all over the place. And the aim is to bring everyone together just to get to games and kind of have that community feel, you know. And that's for me what football's all about. Football's all about sharing the team you love with people, you know. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that's moved away from Suffolk that misses that. So yeah, ITFC Scotland on Twitter. If you want to get involved or know anyone that would like to get involved, just drop us a message. We'll get you added to the WhatsApp group. And yeah, more the merrier. Hopefully next season the plan is to get as many guys and girls together for games, and that's the plan. So like I say, if you know anyone or even yourself listening that would like to get involved, give us a shout.
Brilliant.
Lovely. What a perfect note to end the show on. I want to echo that as well. I know the final away game of the season is always a bit bittersweet because we know it's months until we see each other again. So
Soon be here, Amy. It'll soon
I know. Everybody keeps saying that.
There's 12 Saturdays to go.
Well, I will be counting them down, and perhaps we can ask the Gov if, when the fixture list comes out, if we can have another away day show, having a look at whether those games that we picked out earlier tonight have landed on decent days, or have we got Plymouth away right in the depths of winter, as I am fully expecting, and we're gonna be traveling all to the nice places, I reckon, in the middle of winter. What do you
Sounds
reckon,
good to me. Sounds absolutely brilliant to me, my friend. What a great show that was. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
You still got that cardigan?
Yeah.
Rocking the cardigan. Are you a cardigan fan, Ryan?
I'm not. It's too cold up here for cardigans. You need big, thick coats, mate.
That's true.
Even in summer.
Oh, well,
I don't get one.
You know what? It's not actually been. I did debate getting the barbecue out. I think it was 15 degrees on Saturday. So summer for us.
That's summer, isn't it? How long does it take to get down to Ipswich from Inverness?
10.5 hours to the sat nav. By the time you've stopped a few times, you're 12 hours to drive.
Oh,
absolutely.
Martin Lambert's Cardi Army, you got that spot on. Ryan, you are a true ITFC fan going that far. I mean, you know, but as Mike D said in the chat, get in your car, Knob Army.
Hopefully Ryan will come on more. We need Ryan on more.
Yeah, no, I'd love to come on more. I think I've spoke to you briefly, Crunch. I've spoke to you as well in person, Martin. I've been, you know,
you have open day of the year.
Start of lockdown. You guys keep me going when I'm driving around here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, no, I'd love to come on again.
Good man. We will make it happen. We are looking for fresh faces, fresh voices for next season. So we'll make it happen. We can finally activate that release clause in Amy Downs' contract. I'm joking, Amy. I'm joking. Oh, cheers. Appreciate that. No, it's been a great show. I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to you three. Hopefully, Sunderland will go on to complete the job this evening. That will make my
looking like extra time.
You need Sunderland to stay down. That's a close away game. That's only 5.5 hours.
Yeah, no, me and Wednesday have got some personal issues we've got to work through.
You're not working through them.
No, I know we're not. But right, Amy, close your show down and let's rock and roll.
Oh goodness! I thought you were going to go off into your spiel about tomorrow night. Don't forget tomorrow. Absolutely amazing show. I will definitely be tuning in myself. But if we don't see you through the week, we'll see you through window.
That was it.